What's going on, guys? It's Krause here. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I will be reviewing my 2023 Marin Rift Zone 1. We're going to be covering everything that you guys would want to know about this bike in today's video. We're going to start with a walk around so we can talk about some of the specs. We're going to talk about the price of this thing. We're even going to weigh this thing to see what its actual weight really is. We'll be putting it through a drop test, and then later in the video I'll also be taking it out for a ride, getting some clips with it, so then I can talk about the things that I like and some of the things that I dislike about the bike. So stay tuned, guys. Let's see if this bike is really worth the price. If you guys end up actually liking today's video, be sure to drop a like, drop a comment, let me know what you thought of it, because I do have plenty more bikes to review, so this could be a little mini series, I thought, if you guys enjoy this type of content. With that being said, let's get into some of the specs. First things first, guys, when we're talking about specs, we obviously have to talk about the color that this bike comes in. Right here we've got the orange to blue fade one, matching with the blue pedals right there as well. I think this is a really cool spec for the bike. It looks amazing. When the sun's out on it, it looks absolutely incredible. I believe the other option that you can get is a gray color, which is definitely pretty cool as well. It's up to you if you want to maybe be a bit more standoutish with your riding here. I don't think you can go wrong with this color. It looks absolutely incredible. Up next, guys, let's talk about the wheels on this thing. So they come with a 27.5-inch wheel, front and rear. I think this is the perfect size wheel, especially for the stuff that I like doing, because you get the sort of maneuverability of a smaller wheel, but then you also get the high speed rolling of, say, a bigger wheel like the 29-inch. And to even top it off, guys, these bikes comes with tubeless ready for all you tubeless riders out there. They're ready to run tubeless. Pretty cool. So I'm sure you guys can tell this Marin is a dual suspension mountain bike. It comes fitted with X Fusion shocks front and rear. Let's have a closer look. So this is the front fork you guys are getting on the bike. It's fully adjustable, so you can see up here you've got the stiffness settings, so you can wind it all the way to super soft, make it really stiff if you want. On the other side here, the little air system where you can fill up, or I guess remove some of the air to the fork if you would like. Underneath, guys, on this little red dial here, this is your rebound setting. So if you want the fork to obviously be really springy like a trampoline or a pogo stick, or you can slow it right down, make it really slow, depending on what you want to do, what you're riding. This is a really good front fork. Let's have a look at the back. And at the rear here, guys, we've got the X Fusion 02 Pro rear shock, which again is a pretty good shock here. You've got the air adjustment system right there. And then you've also got another rebound switch, which you can see right here. There is one thing I would like to touch on. Unfortunately, this shock doesn't come with a quick lockout system. That's one thing that I would touch on that I think this might be missing, is a quick little button or switch, sorry, that you can just easily flick to lock out the rear suspension completely. Unfortunately, that doesn't have it. At least from what I've seen, it doesn't have it. But again, pretty good shock, fully adjustable. Pretty decent. Moving things right along, guys, let's have a closer look now at the drivetrain of the bike and also the braking systems. For the gears, up the front, we've got the Shimano Dior 11-speed gear lever. And at the back, guys, I believe it's a Sunrace cassette, obviously an 11-speed, and of course the Shimano Dior derailleur. And when it comes to the brakes, guys, you're getting these pretty entry-level Shimano levers. They're nothing too flash, but they are more than capable of bringing you to a stop. And for the calipers themselves, again, you are just getting sort of an entry-level single piston Shimano caliper there. And if you're curious about the actual rotor size, you're getting 180s on the front and 180s on the rear. Two more things, guys, that I would like to quickly touch on before we talk about the price of this thing and then we start weighing it and all that. First thing being is the seat post. You're just getting a generic seat post on this thing, nothing fancy. So if you're wanting to adjust your seat, you're gonna have to do it manually. I will be touching more on this later in the video. And just whilst we're still on the topic of the brakes and the drivetrain here, guys, I would like to point out that all the cabling that leads to the brakes and the gears is actually all internally routed through the frame. I think that's a really nice touch for the bike. It's a great way of really cleaning up the whole look around this area. Nice touch. So now that we've wrapped up the spec section of the video, I believe we've covered everything. Actually, no, the frame is alloy. Now that we've covered everything that there is to cover, let's talk about the price. Now, looking on some websites, guys, I saw the prices. They obviously change a little with sales and all that, but what you're paying for this bike is roughly $2,000 Australian. Now, I think that's a really good price for what you're getting here. Again, this bike covers sort of everything that you need to get down to the trails, hit the jumps and all that. Yeah, I think that's a really good price. So this is easily one of the most researched things, at least for myself, when it comes to looking at bikes and all that. You want to know how much do these things actually weigh, and I feel like a lot of brands, a lot of websites actually hide how much the bikes actually weigh. Not to worry, today we've got a little weight scale here that we're going to use. You guys might have seen me use this in some of my previous YouTube videos, and we're actually going to weigh this thing. We're going to weigh it 3 separate times so we can get some sort of accurate weight here and see how much the Marin Rift Zone 1 actually weighs. Full disclosure, guys, this is something that you use to weigh your suitcases before you go on a plane. The plan is, guys, to wrap it under the seat here, connect it, and now I've got the fun job of trying to lift this thing and keeping the bike off the ground completely and trying to not let it move whilst we get a weight. And there we go, we've got the first weight. Quickly just typing into my phone that first weight so we can keep track. Here we go for the second time. Oh, keeping it somewhat still. Okay, we got our second weight. Oh, okay, okay. Second weight is... On to the last one, let's weigh it for the third and final time. Thank God. And we've got it. Wow, the lightest weight yet was the third one. Alrighty, so we're gonna put those 3 separate weights into the calculator now, add them all together, divide them by 3, and that'll give us the average weight that we've recorded for this bike. And boom, just like that, average weight of the bike today, 14.8 kilos. The lightest weight that we got was 14.1, and the first time that we weighed it was actually the heaviest with 15.8. The second weight was 14.5, and then the last one 14.1. So it's around the 14 mark. The 15.8 was sort of random, but there you have it, guys. In today's video, this bike sort of weighs 14.8 kilos. So we're gonna move things right along, guys, to the next segment of the video, the drop test. Now I will be doing the traditional drop test where I lift up my bike and simply drop it onto the ground. But on top of that, I thought, why not? Let's take it a little bit further. I think I want to find a big drop, which I'll ride off to flat, and we can film it maybe in slow-mo or something and see how much the suspension actually compresses. So you're getting 2 different drop tests, the traditional, and then we'll find something to jump off. Let's get into it. Lucky for us, guys, we're able to find this little concrete strip in the middle of the oval here. So I'll do 3 individual drop tests, lift it up to about chest height here, drop it, see what noises it makes, who knows. Keep in mind, guys, this is not by any means a brand new bike. I've ridden this thing quite hard over the time that I've had it. So just keep that in mind, I guess. Drop test number 1. Okay, that was actually pretty good. Drop test number 2. And lucky last, drop test number 3. Maybe a bit higher than the others, why not? I mean, all in all, if you guys saw behind the scenes how hard I ride this thing, I would say this thing's pretty dialed. Okay, so that was stage 1 of the drop test complete now, and as promised, guys, I'm putting on the helmet. We're gonna go try find somewhere with a decent size to it, who knows. Okay guys, I found a spot that will work perfectly for stage 2 of the drop test. We've got this wall in the middle here. It's just below bar height here. It's definitely pretty tall, and what you got to remember is I'm going to be jumping off that to flat. So we're going to put the bike through its paces here. We'll get a side-on angle for you guys, jump off, and see what this bike is made of. Let's do this thing. That was pretty hefty. I feel like I actually landed with pretty good technique there. I think the bike handled that a lot better than I was expecting. All in all though, I think the drop test was a success. A pretty decent height to flat ground there. I think the bike handled it like an absolute champ. So now that the drop test is complete, guys, this is the fun part of the video. I'm gonna get around on this thing, see what things we can find to ride in this sort of area that we're in, get some clips for you guys, and then I'm gonna tell you all the things that I like about this bike, and more importantly, perhaps, some of the things that I dislike about this bike. Let's get into it. See what we can do. Yo. Let's go, that's cool. One last little section to go. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoyed some of those riding clips there. We did our best trying to find things that we're able to ride. We are at a school, so we are quite limited. If you want to see me ride this thing a bit more, in my most recent video before this one, I was actually out on this thing with the GoPro and just full on going crazy on it, just finding anything to ride. So that's a fun video, go watch that. But I figured, as we are on the hill climb now, back up to where we just came from, it's the perfect time, guys, to bring up one of the decent sized negatives of this bike, which would be the seat post. Now, I know for the price point that this bike is at, it doesn't need to come with a dropper post, but that is definitely one thing that this bike is missing because of, as you can see right now, I've just done that nice manual down the hill there, obviously with my seat as low as possible, and now it's time to turn around and come back up the hill. And if I wanted to, I would have to get off, undo it, pull it up, and then pull it back. I know it's not the end of the world. You can just buy a dropper post for this thing. Buy this bike and then go online, buy a dropper post. As we touched on earlier, it has internal routing for the cables and it has spare ones on this side, obviously for if you want to get a dropper post for this bike. One more slight negative, guys, that I feel like I must touch on. Now, I want to preface this by saying I don't think this is a common occurrence for everyone. I have seen other reviews of this bike and I've seen that they have not had this problem. However, for me, early on when I first got this bike, I did start experiencing some rear shock issues. Now, what I mean by that is I will put a lot of air into this for my weight and all that and have it set up perfectly, but 10 minutes in, it's already super squishy. As you can see already right here as well, it's completely sort of out of air. Like, it still has air in it and it's still rideable, as you just saw, but I do notice it loses air pressure. Again, I want to say I haven't seen this happen to any other one, so this is probably a very rare case, and it's not even that really annoying. It's not stopping me from doing anything that you've seen in today's video, but the rear shock definitely does lose air pretty quickly. But again, that's just me. Let's head back to the car now, and I want to tell you guys all the positives about this bike. So now, guys, a major positive in my opinion about riding this bike has to be how versatile it is to ride. Hopefully it came across in the most recent clips that you just saw me ride, but this bike feels like, to me, that it can sort of do everything. It feels very light to ride, even though it's not crazy light, as we discovered. It's not crazy heavy either, but it's just sort of in the middle there. But for some reason it feels quite nimble. I feel very free on it. I feel like I can put it exactly where I want it to be on the trails that we do, on the stairs that we descend, and all those random and weird tricks that I find myself doing in the street. This bike feels capable of it all. The 11-speed gears on the back here make climbing hills a breeze. If we had the seat post, it'd be even easier again, of course. This bike, I think at the price point that it's at, is insane for the money, I would have to say. Again, buy it if you want, upgrade bits and bobs, whatever you don't like, change things out. I think this is a really good base bike, especially for all you beginners out there looking to get a mountain bike into getting into jumps, riding trails, having fun with your mates. I think the Marin Rift Zone 1 here is definitely a great purchase. This is a completely stock bike and I was able to do everything that you just saw. Had a lot of fun filming this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure you drop a like. As always, appreciate all the support and I'll see you in the next one.